Today we'll be drawing diagrams to find the answer to a division problem when we have fractions with uncommon denominators. Let's start with one that has a common denominator. This is a little bit different than what we're used to because we have a whole number with a fraction to start. When you need to model a mixed number like we have in this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to model the whole number. So for the two wholes, I'm going to make two whole boxes. Now if we're dividing this into fourths, I'm going to then take those boxes and break them into fourths. So now each of these represents 1/4. I'll do the same to this. And then now I will deal with the fraction part of this mixed number 2 3/4. So instead of drawing a full box of 4/4, I'm just going to draw 3 boxes where each of them is worth 1/4 like so. So it doesn't make up the same size that one whole does. Then I'm going to treat this just like the problems we've been doing, and I'm going to count out groups of 3/4. I suggest using a different color. That way it helps keep your information organized. So this would be 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. And together that makes our first group of 3/4. I continue doing this. Again, I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. That makes my second group. I'm going to pause here and make sure we understand I'm going to keep counting in order here. So while this box over here labeled 1 didn't continue and make a full group, I just keep counting along to the next whole. So I'll do that same thing here. So this is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Together those 3 make our third group. Then I have 1/4, 2/4. So I'm not able to make a full last group. So I'm going to go to record my answer. I was able to make 1, 2, 3 full groups. And then when I went to count out my next one, I only had 2 out of the 3 that I was counting. Again, notice the denominator is coming from what are we counting groups of. So we're counting groups of 3. Let's see what this looks like when we have an uncommon denominator. So I have 3 2/3 this time being divided into 3/4. In order for my diagram to work, I need these to have a common denominator. So I'm going to have to convert 2/3 and 3/4 into a fraction with a new denominator. When you're deciding what the denominator should be, you want to think about what numbers can multiply by 3 and what numbers also then can multiply to get 4. So if I'm thinking about my multiples of 3, I have 3, 6, 9, 12 to start, and 4, I have 4. 4 times 2 would be 8, 4 times 3, and I see that 12 is in common. So I'm going to convert 2/3 and I'm going to convert 3/4 into fractions where we have 12 as a denominator. Remember, I'm not just going to take the 3 and turn it into a 12. I've got to make sure I repeat whatever I did to 3 to the 2 up top. So I know 3 times 4 would give me 12. So 2 times 4 gives me my new numerator as well. So I have 3 8/12. And I'll repeat this process now for the 3/4. Okay, so again, we're looking for a denominator of 12. So I know 4 times 3 will give me that 12. And then 3 also needs to be multiplied by 3. So this becomes 9/12. Once you have this common denominator, then we go through again and we're going to diagram the first number. I'm going to start with my 3 wholes. I know I'm going to have to break these into 12ths, so I'm going to give myself plenty of space to do that. And so then I'll draw a line and break these into 12ths. And I'll do that in all of my boxes. Again, using different colors will be helpful for you to do this, especially when you're on a computer. Make sure these have 12 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got to break that one there into 12s. All right, and then I also have to remember to deal with my 8 12ths as well. So that's the 3 holes from here, and then underneath that I'm going to make 8 boxes. Okay, so this won't be the same size. One, two, three, 4. So this models 3 and 8 12ths. And then I'm going to count out groups of 9 12ths. And for this one, I'll put my numbers inside so you can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this will be my first group. Okay, and then you just keep counting out again. Once we end this box, you just continue counting. So after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we keep doing this until we get down there to the bottom. And once you get to 9, start back at 1. And then once we get down here, we should end up, that should be 8 boxes, so I'll draw a line in. Sometimes I make mistakes too, guys. So at the bottom here, I'm not able to make that last full group of 9, but let's count out how many groups I was able to make. So I'll highlight it for you. This is the first group, the first time I got to 9, the second group, the third group, the fourth. So I made 4 full groups, and then down here at the bottom, those last 8, I wasn't able to make a full group. I only had 8 out of the 9 that I needed. Okay, it's going to be really important that you're careful in your counting and that you're keeping your information nice and neat and organized as you do this. Okay, so take your time, take your space, and make sure, again, one helpful hint I have for you is to use different colors.